Welcome back to Outnumbered. Some more mixed messages from the Obama administration, this time over why the aircraft carrier USS Theodore Roosevelt is shadowing an Iranian convoy near Yemen. That convoy is suspected of carrying weapons to rebels. Yesterday, the Pentagon said the warship was launching aircraft to, quote, fly manned reconnaissance of the estimated 7 to 9 Iranian ships. But then, State Department acting spokeswoman Marie Harf said this.
I want to be very clear, just so no one has the wrong impression, that they are not there to intercept Iranian ships, to do issues like that. That the purpose of moving them is only to ensure the shipping lanes remain open and safe. I think there was some misreporting and confusion on this, and I just wanted to be very clear. I know they spoke to it too, but that the purpose is not to do anything in terms of those Iranian ships.
Today, Marie Harf's former boss, Jen Psaki, who's now at the White House, was asked about those remarks, and her answer didn't provide much clarification.
We always have contingency plans. That's what the United States does. We have the best military in the world, but we also don't get ahead of predicting or laying out what we may or may not do. We're watching this closely. We're monitoring this closely. We have a range of abilities, but we're not going to predict what will happen.
Well, so, you know, I guess this is a mixed message, but we're at a delicate point, Andrea, with negotiations with Iran right now. And at the same time, we do have to keep the Strait open. And at the same time, we, I guess, tacitly or not so tacitly supporting our allies, Saudi Arabia, in Yemen, and Iran is embroiled in a pretty much a proxy war over there now. So it's a mess. So, you know, can you really blame the State Department and the White House for not having a clearer message on this when they're dealing with so many balls up in the air?
Well, this isn't the first time that they've been singing off different song sheets, and I do think it's a bit of a problem. And if we're just going to send ships over to observe the Iranians delivering weapons, then what are we doing? Are we essentially just being escorts for the Iranians? And I would say that we've actually emboldened them, Julie. I mean, by allowing them to do this nuclear research, we have emboldened them in the Middle East and arguably created an arms war, an arms race in the Middle East, and that really is embarrassing. Yeah. And the administration should have a better answer about what our ships are doing.
But Charlie, let me ask, off that point, let me ask you this question. What's the alternative? Is the alternative that we start firing on Iranian ships that are delivering support to their allies in Yemen?
I think the alternative is to have a policy. And I had a journalism professor that said, watch out for the word this. Whenever you say, you know, we are monitoring this, we are doing this, and there's no sort of support for what this is, we don't know what this is. And that's the problem. If you listen to what that one woman said, the second one with Psaki, she used the word this about 5 times, explaining something that we don't know what she's talking about. And I think the problem begins with the fact that the Obama administration, and listen, I'm not against having some relations with Iran. I'm actually not necessarily against a deal with the Iranians under certain circumstances. But if you don't have an overriding policy, if we don't know how we're dealing with them, if there's no sort of, if the American people have no context to understand what this is, you got to be really scared.
You know, Harris, there is a school of thought that we have these doctrines. We constantly have these doctrines, and it makes you a little inflexible in terms of addressing specific situations. And maybe what you're saying, Charlie, is there really is no doctrine. But is that such a bad thing, Harris? Because this allows you to sort of adjust as
I'll tell you what this sounds like from a journalistic point of view. When you've covered both the Pentagon and the State Department in the same day, and they give you different messages on some ships. U.S. ships out in an important oil strait in the world. It wasn't by accident, okay, that those messages don't match up. Because I'll tell you who got the message. The Houthi rebels. Are you hearing what they're saying this morning? In Yemen, the Houthi rebel, they have a spokesperson. He is now calling for a complete end to the Saudi-led airstrikes and this whole thing that looks like there's ships waiting out for his guys in the sea. He says that he will then take part in a peace talk agreement after this. So I don't care what the messaging is, if it doesn't match up. Those guys got the message, so clearly one of them was very strong. I would say the USS Theodore Roosevelt showing up at your back door, that's pretty strong. And maybe the State Department, because of this deal with Iran over nukes, wanted to, through the White House, back off and say, hey, you know what, we just happen to be there. You know, but really?
That's an interesting point, because you also have Saudi Arabia, which is certainly no angel in the region, but they are our ally, and we have to curry favor with them to some extent for a variety of reasons, not the least of which is oil. we have to balance that with what we're balancing with Iran and this nuclear deal. So again, you know, I'm not surprised about the mixed messaging, because there's 2 or 3 audiences they're relaying the messaging to.
Right. I think it goes back to what is the Obama foreign policy doctrine, and what does this look like overseas? Starting first with Marie Harf, who, I'm sorry, doesn't evoke any kind of authority, or, I mean, I'm sorry, I feel like I'm watching an SNL skit every time she's up there. And we don't know what's going on, and I think we have to think about, what does this look like abroad in such a
The only message that you
time?
care about are the rebels on the ground, and they're getting a clear one. Yeah. America's coming. All right, a California farmer is taking his fight to keep his crop all the way to the nation's highest court. For decades, raisin farmers have turned over a large portion of their crop to the Department of Agriculture, and they do it every year without compensation. Now one farm is fighting back, saying it's unconstitutional seizure of their property. Shannon Breen is live right outside of the U.S. Supreme Court. Shannon?
Well, Harris, these arguments just wrapped up, and it all stems back to a 1949 creation of the Raisin Administrative Committee. It's a real thing. It falls under the Department of Agriculture. They say they're about stabilizing market prices, and they do that in part by forcing producers of raisins to turn over a chunk of their crops every single year, taking them out of the stream of commerce. The government eventually does sell those raisins after the market has settled, and they use the money to fund the commission, and they also, if there's anything left over, give the money back to the raisin farmers. But guess what? A lot of years there is no money to give back to the farmers, so they've given up portions of their crop for no money. So today the justices had to look at this and say, is this a taking under the Fifth Amendment, which says the government's going to have to give you compensation back if they take your property? Well, the government says, listen, by putting your raisins into the stream of commerce, you enter the deal where the government gets to regulate what you do, and that this is just part of how it all works. Well, I talked to that farmer today, Marvin Horn, who's at the center of this fight. He has been fighting for years because he decided a few years ago he wasn't going to go along with this and turn over his crops. Now he's facing millions in fines and penalties. Here's what he told me about why every average American should care about his case.
I would be worried, serious about that, because if the government can come into your house and say, well, you don't need this and you don't need that, and we need this for society, and you're going to have to give it up, and they don't pay you for it. That's what every citizen should be worried about.
And most of the justices did seem pretty skeptical today. Justice Alito brought up the example of, you know, if the government thinks it's a good idea, why can't it tell cell phone companies every 5th phone you produce, you're going to have to give it away to someone who can't afford it? We'll see. We'll have a decision by the end of June. Harris, ladies, wow. Charlie, back to you.
That cell phone question is an excellent one. Shannon, thank you for teeing this up for us. I want to come to you first, Rachel.
Well, again, the question is, who's better at deciding how raisins should be produced, or how many should be produced? Should it be a bunch of centralized bureaucrats and their special interests in Washington, or should it be the millions of consumers and farmers who produce the raisins? I think, you know, you look at even the telecom industry that used to be very heavily regulated. It's much better now. And there's a lot more options and choices when you get the government out of these things and leave it to the people.
So, Charlie, I want to go back to that question that Shannon just brought up, though. Are they picking on the little guy here with the farmers? Because they're not making hand over fist. But those telecom communications people are making hand over fist.
Well, you know, agriculture is regulated in a much different way than telecom, which is heavily regulated. Well, for different reasons. I mean, agriculture is a public good. I will say this. I want to agree with the farmer. I want to say the farmer is being
Do you agree with the farmer?
You know, I'm not a lawyer. I share drinks with Judge Napolitano a lot, and we discuss constitutional law. I just know that takings cases are difficult, and I will say one other thing. The farmer, and I've seen this case in the past, does not have a constitutional right to grow raisins. He has I'm just saying, he does not have a constitutional right to basically grow one single crop. So and if that crop is heavily regulated for a reason, the government might win this. And I tell you, I'm not a lawyer, but I've seen this sort of scenario play out in other contexts where the government wins.
All right, so we've seen this, though, already with the Supreme Court, though, because milk, beef, other industries have complained that, you know what, you're spending our profits on ads. Like, remember the Heard It Through the Grapevine ad? That hit the raisins as well, because they wanted to take a portion of what the government deemed as profits and pay for those commercials across the country to get all of us to eat more raisins, which is interesting. Should they have to pay for that if they feel like they're not being fairly compensated already?
Did they challenge it to the Supreme Court?
They did. The Supreme Court said, no, we're going to stick with it. This was in 2005, I believe.
Yeah, I'm just saying it's kind of the same composition of a court.
But because it dates back to an onerous and oppressive regulatory framework that started with the New Deal. So I've been reading about this. I mean, they're basically getting him because they're saying you can't really be a producer and a handler. And that's what he is. He's actually growing the grapes, and then he's drying and packaging and selling the grapes. So what's the government doing, as Charlie points out? They come in and they say, we're going to try and regulate you as a form of price controls. But they slapped him with a $700,000 fine, which goes to your point, Harris. This is a little guy. He's just trying to make it. I actually think he has a case on this one. We will find out in the end of June, but it is scary and it is wrong.
Let me just say one quick thing about this. Farmers get paid by the federal government all the time to grow crops, to not grow crops, and, you know, they're complaining about government intrusion. They should stop taking the subsidies.
The advocates are arguing that the Horn family deserves several $100,000 in just compensation because the Raisin Board set aside 30% of the crop in the bumper years of 2003 and 2004, and that's when their fight started. So we'll watch this one closely. It's in the courts today, and as it makes news, we'll bring it to you. Meanwhile, let's go to Hollywood, shall we? Actor Ben Affleck. Another actor is talking, Andrea. Be still your heart. Well, he's admitting he forced the producers to censor a documentary show about his family history. Why he says he was embarrassed, and whether this is another example of Hollywood's special treatment or hypocrisy. Oh, it doesn't say that in the prompter, but we'll talk.